But yeah, he just started just fucking cutting people's balls open. Rewatchers on the pod, where we are currently watching The Leftovers. You're here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Gwen Hammer,
Tyler McKinley,
Justin Hammer.
And this week, we watched Season 1, Episode 7 and 8 of The Leftovers. And if you haven't gotten around to it, you got a busy schedule. We understand. We're all adults here. And that's why we've written a very responsible and thorough summary of the 2 episodes that we were supposed to watch this week. Here we go. Episode 7. The Guilty Remnant do not like their new Obama-style posters. Jill and her friends recreate their favorite scene from everyone's favorite Indiana Jones movie. What twisted fucks raised this Max kid? Garvey schedules sex with Nora, but makes sure his house is in order first. Who the fuck drops their entire pants/underwear and peeing, especially in front of their goddamn friends? Jill loses the handle on her life. Who let Grandpa out of the loony bin? Christine is experiencing the usual third trimester hallucinations. Wayne wants Tom to do a dead drop for $3,000. Thank God I didn't have to witness that sexy scene yet. Jill sells out her grandpa. Garvey is experiencing the third trimester hallucinations. Garvey adopts a dog and needs a rabies shot. Garvey speaks Spanish. Garvey gets Garvey Sr. Garvey loses Garvey Sr. Tom finds Doppel Tom and Doppel Christine. Garvey finds out that somebody has been hiding the tub of Jif from him. Doppel Christine shoots Tom in the hand because she wants to be married 2.0. Garvey Sr. wants his son to get into National Geographic. Garvey Sr. gets stuffed back in the loony bin. Shit, now I have to watch this sex scene. Only one thing can ruin Garvey's post not bounce. National Geographic. Jesus 2.0 is a girl. Episode 8. Dinner at Garvey home goes about how I expected. Garvey goes to sleep as a disgruntled father and wakes up a kidnapper. When Liv Tyler yells, it is a normal person speaking volume. Sheep Busey thinks Megan's moves are weak. Then said, fuck you. Amends are made with Matt, I guess. Jill goes the extra mile to make me not give a rat's ass about her worthless emo ass. Garvey struggles to come to terms with being a kidnapper. Jill and the twins go on a panty raid for a gun. The twins are speaking everything I'm thinking about the situation. Does that revolver shoot? No, but it makes you cry in other ways. Garvey finds the garment of his holy order. The fucking trees stole them. Garvey lays down the law on the thieving trees. Patty clearly didn't read the warnings on plastic bags to not use them as helmets. If whistles don't count as talking, then shushing definitely fucking counts as talking. Megan might just be future Jill. The dog is a metaphor that Jill is a bitch and she's removed the last restraint and is letting it run free. Sheep Busey is the Patty now. I feel like that's a password you could use to get into an orgy.
Sheep Busey is the Patty now?
Sheep Busey is the Patty.
Noted.
Are we actually going to get Jill to shut the fuck up? Garvey is about to take responsibility for his actions. Patty pulls a Clint Malarchuk. I don't understand that reference.
Clint Malarchuk is a hockey goalie who had his throat slit open by the
no!
hockey skate. There's a video of it on YouTube, and he lives.
I've seen that.
Is that the guy who-
The trainer comes in
yep.
and like puts his fingers in
Former-
the
I've
neck and
seen that.
pinches off the artery.
Former
and
army medic, I think,
dude,
right?
totally lived through it.
Yeah.
God, I have seen that video. Fuck. But yeah, she totally does.
Too bad Garvey's not former army medic.
Yeah.
Jeez, could have saved.
He tried.
I mean, he just kind of ran over and held her.
Which, well, he stuck his hand in there, didn't he?
Yeah, he does
Oh,
stick
I
his
missed
hand
that.
to her throat, and then it's just
I guess
even
I was
more
going-
blood pours out. Yeah.
Well, because I mean, to me, I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Now you're
If you're
covered
gonna
in
try and get
evidence.
away with this, like, you're
Run.
you're blood all over you. Like that stuff doesn't come out. Trust me.
He doesn't want to get away with it anymore. Remember, he was like, I'm going to go turn myself in and tell everyone.
Yeah,
But
as soon
when
as she
was
kills
alive.
herself.
The game changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of there. Go find your buddy and say, I did it. And he's not going to tell anybody.
Man, he's talking
yeah,
to the
that guy.
ghosties.
God damn. Fucking.
Sorry, did we get through all the summary? Was that
Yeah,
the,
that's
was that
it.
the end?
That's
okay,
how it
cool,
ends. Yeah,
cool.
it ends with Patty bleeding out. What a couple episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A sex cult and a death cult.
Ugh.
And a teenage cult. The teenagers are in their own cult. They don't call it a cult. They don't know it's a cult. But they do the cult thing.
That's just
Yeah, they
teenagers,
really do.
though.
I
Your
mean,
friends. They're
you
just,
you
it's
must
just a cult.
have had a different
Nah, I don't.
teenage experience than I did.
I do like. It's very rare that we see teenagers in a room with any adults. Like basically, Jill and Amy are the only ones we see. With Garvey, who's like, how much of an adult is he really? Not really entirely sure how this is going. But yeah, man. Fucking, I mean, what town doesn't have a little urban legend about a fridge that you sit inside of and test your metal? Fucking wild. Let's actually start with the teens in this episode and kind of work our way through the rest of the stuff. Man, Jill sucks. I will say I've been watching it. Someone else has been watching this. I've been talking to them about it, and they had an explanation for stuff in this episode that I was like, of course, I totally didn't get that read. But and we'll talk about that when we come to it. But how are you guys feeling about Jill in these episodes in particular? Like, maybe I'm the only one who's like, ugh.
Oh, really?
Don't really. Anytime we've got Jill stuff, I don't really know why. Honestly, like I don't know. Like I get that we're trying to tell the story from each. Like we want perspectives from each member of the family, but her stuff just doesn't. I don't know. At this point, I don't feel invested in what she's going through, which. I don't know. Hopefully, my daughter doesn't deal with emotional stuff like this because I'm going to be a bad dad if that's the case. Because I'm just not going to get it
With these emotion things.
I mean, I think you can draw a pretty straight line from Garvey's parenting to her reactions in this situation.
Fair
So
enough, yeah.
I would assume you're probably gonna be okay.
I
But
mean, this episode was the first one where I was really like, poor Jill, and like feeling sad for her and like not just pissed off by her teenage antics.
sure, why? So I want to hear why, because I wasn't feeling that way at all. But then someone I know explained to me like stuff about this last episode, and I'm where you're at now, I think, with her stuff. But I like,
Yeah,
what
like-
is it about it? I guess.
convince me too.
She's processing all of this shit in her life so badly that she's breaking into a woman's house and crying over a gun because it means no one's okay and she's not okay and maybe never, nothing ever will be okay. It's awful. It's terrifying. And her dad won't even hug her. Like, she calls the police on her grandfather and then watches him be effectively arrested, and dad's just like, okay, bye. Holy fuck, dude.
Dinner tonight? Okay, yeah, okay. We'll see ya.
The man does not, he do not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Emotionally
I think
clogged
it's
or something.
Safe to say the Garvey's family relationship is not the food pyramid we should all be aspiring to.
Oh, hold on.
Of family
I'm pretty sure that
relationships.
pyramid was made by Big Family to make you think that you needed quality time, fucking hugs.
man.
Wayne is like correcting people back to he's giving them a hug, which then steers them back to the correct emotional food pyramid. Yeah.
But
Oh
like,
man.
she has even less guidance in how to navigate this than like all the adults do, because they all have adult experience, right? They should know at least the outlines of how to deal with it. She's got nothing.
Yeah.
I think for me that's the only moment though. Like the moment where she's crying over the gun is like, okay, I get this sorrow and this pain here. I mean, she's not the only person who's experienced loss in this world. Not the only teenager who's experienced loss in this world. I mean, Amy apparently doesn't have fucking parents.
Yeah,
Like it was,
I've just
something, yeah.
realized that
these,
as well.
yeah, these episodes, I'm like, oh, she lives with them? Question mark. I don't. Clearly, her situation's fucked. I mean, and Amy does some things I would probably not, think would be a good idea. But she's not being a complete bitch to everybody, I guess,
Yeah.
about it. And yeah, I don't know. So I think Jill's still very much hateable. I have not been converted to your guys' line of thinking at this point, because some of the things she does in these episodes in particular are like, dude, come on. come on.
Well, like, okay? So, like, what are those for you that are like the?
Well, I think, I mean, just her interaction with Amy, that big breaking moment for them, I think
Pretty
is
fucked. Yeah, that's a hard. Yeah.
is totally like nothing should have spawned that really. Like, if anything, Amy has only for her relationship in her house has only existed to make things more smooth, I would say, from what we've seen, and has only been she has been a bad friend kind of once, but at the same time, it's like if you're walking into the bear cave covered in honey, you know, you're gonna get eaten by a bear. So that's kind of how that party is. Worst metaphor ever.
What are we talking about?
Look, I went to the Britta Perry School of Metaphors, and so bad metaphor.
Tyler's victim shaming right now.
Yes, that's what. Yes. No, but like that. Like, think of that party, right? That party is like, if you find yourself there and you're like, oh no, something bad happened to me at this party. Fuck you. Like,
she's clearly along for it.
yeah. So it's like,
well.
I don't know. It's yeah. So to me, it's like that one situation where Amy did anything bad is like you all bought into a game where you're doing the spin the bottle thing, and it's like you've agreed to the consequences. So it's like I don't think anything Amy's done has warranted that reaction from her. I think that just on a social level, her dad having someone over for dinner, I totally understand being angsty about the situation, but then like you would be angsty towards your dad, not like brand new person. You try and make things civil, but then it's just an ass. She's broke. Oh yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like, I don't like. I think the person to be mad at is her dad, but Nora.
Yeah.
Yes, Tyler.
Teenagers have responsibility for their actions. I'm going to throw that out there.
They do, but they are still learning how to cope and regulate. And I'm not saying that the way she behaved was appropriate or right. It wasn't. But it is understandable, which is different.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the corner I turned in these episodes in that discussion was like, I finally got Jill a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I got the stuff with Amy a little bit more because the stuff that precedes this is like, her dad has that fucking night with the dog where he's got his hand bitten, and apparently Amy has played nurse or what, something weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's such a weird thing because I feel like some of what Jill hates about Amy is this perceived like intimacy that Amy has with her dad that she doesn't have. Not that she wants like physical intimacy, but there's like she didn't know any of this was going on. Like Amy like took care of her dad's hand. Like there's this weird like relationship and closeness that I think she perceives.
She's the one that's always setting him up. Like, I'm going to leave the room, give you some alone time.
Again, I'm not saying that it's yeah. I'm with Gwen. Like, I don't think it's all like warranted or like it's not good or healthy, but I got it this time in a way that I didn't get it before, which is really cool. Anyways, yeah. Sorry, did you have any more?
No, I just fucking pissed when people try and say teenagers is like, oh, it's all the parents' fault. Oh, it's the society's fault. It's like, no, fuck it. I was a teenager before. I sucked ass, and I didn't suck that much ass.
Isn't it both and, not either or?
It's definitely both and, but I think that they get the benefit of the doubt more often than not, and I think people sweep things under the rug a lot more than as a society. This is getting way off topic, but I think as a society, we definitely should. I think that, like,
hold teenagers responsible for their actions?
I mean, I don't think that's too much of a demand to ask, but apparently it is. I mean, I feel like that's like kind of becoming at least in the circles I swim with, you know, it's like I feel like the schools I swim with, those are two separate phrases.
You're there.
The circles I loop with.
We all swim now.
But I think that's fair.
I mean, yeah, no, I don't think that that's a big set. That's just a personal pet peeve of mine. That is like I feel so often, and maybe it's because I'm on Reddit so much, and that's all fucking teenagers. So obviously, all of them are like, "We're not responsible for what we do." But yeah, I don't know. That bothers me, and it's now manifesting on our podcast. I'm really tired. Let's move on.
I mean, I think we can all agree if we were so lucky to have teenagers like the twins, we'd all be having kids,
Dude.
right?
Ping pong solves all problems.
I was glad that came back.
Yeah.
Let's just go play ping pong. Also, the whole thing about him dropping his pants like completely to pee, like I feel like that was just like he's so socially awkward in that situation. He's like, I'm just gonna like go for it. Just to
Teenagers responsible for their
assert some dominance.
Okay, but I probably wouldn't have realized he was peeing if his pants weren't down because I don't think about dudes peeing in the woods that often.
Oh, you mean like
I
from like
think
a
about all the time.
filmmaking perspective? Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
I wouldn't
Oh.
have realized what he was doing without his pants down.
Just stand. You got to give the hip sway a little
You give
bit.
them a little water bottle, you can see the stream. It's not that hard. My son does it. I haven't told you that. He pretends he has a spray bottle that he takes on the top. No one has taught him this. And he filled it up with water and stuff. It's like, look, Mom, what I'm doing.
That's amazing.
Wow, that's
I think
incredible.
I think that's a fair point about like trying from a filmmaking perspective, though, like making sure the audience knows he's off taking a leak. Because I also noticed this is just a minor thing, not consequential at all. But Tommy, when he was waiting for the people to come pick up his drop, as he's driving away, there was a shot of him. You could see his face in the rear view in the side mirror because his window was down. And it was raining too, like his windshield's covered in rain and everything. So I thought that was kind of like why would he have his window down, especially if he's trying to like avoid people? But it was just clearly like let's get this cool shot as he's driving away and his face in the mirror. So there's been a few of those. I don't know if I kind of just think dropping your pants and peeing like that is just because he's a weirdo. But I can see your point about
I think it
filmmaking choice.
It communicates that on that level as well. But I totally get that. It's such a part of my life. Every time I see like grove of trees, I immediately have the urge to just whip it out, hum a little tune, and do my business. But I will say one of my favorite moments in this. First of all, the fucking wrestling scene between these two where they're just fucking going ham in their room while Jill's using their credit card and computer to order an issue of National Geographic. And then the scene of them in Nora's house where like they also are trying to understand what the fuck is going on with everything is just really great. I think they're like I was trying to decide if there's like any characters in this that I'm always like I'm on their side. And it's probably the twins are maybe the only ones, which I think is a strength of this show. I think it's great that like I think I've been on almost every character's side at this point at one point or another, while still having extremely complicated feelings about everything going on. I think it's really great. But yeah, let's talk about Arwen, Megan, Liv Tyler, and her Guilty Remnant episodes. Really, I mean, she seemed real committed a couple episodes ago. Immediately out, just fucking like a lightning bolt. Just immediately started chattering away.
That we didn't even see strike. We saw like the post.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we
came in mid scene to like.
We just
chaos.
Felt the heat of the fucks as they were being thrown at Pastor Matt.
Which, side note, Pastor Matt keeps doing things that get him beat up. I think he thinks he deserves to be beat up. Just saying.
I agree. I mean, I think that's the whole. I really think he thinks he's Job. Like that is his whole idea of his spiritual path is to be fucking God's just whipping boy, and he loves it. I think he just really fucking loves it.
No, never mind. There's a yes daddy joke in there somewhere.
Oh no! Okay, moving on.
Gwen's puking.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Guilty Remnant stuff? It's kind of a slow burn. I mean, I feel like we'll talk about
Dude,
Patty.
if you
with
thought I
other
had
stuff.
negative feelings about Jill, after these episodes, I'm like, oh, so we get to hate them now? It's like, this is all that's going to be revealed about them? Sweet, I get to fucking hate them finally. Because I always hold on to, like, they're probably right about something, and it's going to be some twist away. And then now it's like Patty's, like, just spilled out it, and it was just kind of what we already knew. And I'm like, okay, so I can, fuck these people. Fuck them.
I mean, like, I agree. But after talking about it briefly with Justin afterward, like, why, what is the point of dying? What is the point of dying? To be remembered, right? So, and like, I didn't get it. And then Justin said, well, I mean, like, have you ever experienced something tragic and then the world just sort of moves on and you're still stuck in it? And I was like, oh, okay. Like, now I feel like I get their mindset, even if I obviously don't agree how they're expressing their mindset. But, like, there's, for the first time, at least a little bit of empathy there for me.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get it. But holy shit. Especially their latest stunt they're trying to pull. I'm like, I would kill someone. I think that I am not like, I'm
You'd be
very...
Garvey's friend.
I
Just
mean,
there egging him on.
I mean, I joke about, like, violence all the time. Like, I'm not a violent person, really, and, like, I would never, like... But in, like, all seriousness, anytime there's a conversation about it, I'm like, that should always be the, like... Words should not make you do A or B, like, type of thing. I think that's a change for me in this scenario. I think if this were happening, I wouldn't be the people who are like throwing milkshakes at them from the side of the road or anything like that. But I think if you're breaking into someone's home, you're breaking into someone's home, free game to punch. Like, I don't know what the laws are.
Yeah,
but
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can punch. You can punch today.
I'm starting a oh fuck, I want to say survey, not survey, the sign thing, the
Petition?
petition, yes. Yeah, start a sign thing, and it's gonna be signing about someone breaks in your house equals 5 punches. Hardest one.
I mean, I will say in huge parts of the country, they would tell you are not thinking big enough, my friend.
Oh, if they're in your house, you can kill them.
Oh, okay, so you are on the same page. Okay.
I mean, talking from experience here, my house was being broken into. You don't know those person's intentions, man. So you have free game, in my opinion.
So what you're saying, if they are breaking in but have not broken in, you have 5 punches to dissuade them from completing their job.
If you can prove that they broke into your house and you are now seeing them out on the street in public.
Oh, this is the justice end.
Yes.
Of the
You get 5 punches as justice. Okay, now, if they steal your family pictures,
you get to punch their families.
if those are not backed up digitally, you get 25 punches.
Okay. Listen, I love the bill that you're putting forth. I think it's great. But I'm also on the side of, if it's 2021 and you're not backing up your pictures digitally, or like they're not in a place, that's on you.
Oh, no, you get fined.
Yeah.
You get 25 punches, but for every punch after 20,
Okay,
it's a $100 fine.
As long as the person not backing up their shit is also punched.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
If they create a fake dead body of your disappeared loved one, 17 hits with a barbed wire baseball bat, I think, is appropriate, and is what I'm putting at the as the masthead of my thing, the signy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, were they going to do something really terrible with the bodies? I was thinking they were just going to, like, put them on people's doorsteps, which would be awful.
Which would be fucking terrible.
It would.
What
But
are
I
you
bet
thinking they're
I don't
gonna
know.
do?
They're gonna like burn them in effigy or something.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me if they burned it, but
Or they're gonna burn them inside the church.
they need.
They're gonna burn them inside the church.
But they need them to see that it's in their clothes, though.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Which is odd because that was also foreshadowed kind of earlier in the second episode, where he's like, he's like, why don't you give him to the Goodwill? And he's like, if you
That's right.
Oh yeah, he talks about
you see someone
I want to
going-
see someone wear my fucking brother's shirt.
yeah. And if
Yeah.
they burn them, he then was told to burn them. So
Yeah.
those teeth were important. I don't know how they're going to be important, but they're going to be important.
Oh, they're important because the bite marks that Who's His Face had were not dog marks. They were a people bite. They were a people bite.
Yeah.
We got it.
That
We got
was
it.
A person bite.
That's what I thought too.
Pretty
But I'm like,
fucked
maybe
up.
they just fucked up in the makeup department.
It was absolutely a person bite.
Oh, you dog bite? I've done that before.
And like missing every other tooth, like
Was it his dad? Does dad have gaps in his teeth? I don't think so.
I don't think so. But yeah, exciting stuff.
But wait, yeah, that'd be weird because those teeth were forever ago. Then you got the bite mark. What is going on with time in this show? Is time a weird thing?
time is the least weird thing we're going to encounter in this show. I think.
Great, because time travel is always just super smooth.
Garvey's missing time every time he goes to sleep.
True.
Aren't we all?
That's a form of
Fuck you! Fuck you! Oh no, you ruined sleep for me now.
I mean, with how badly I sleep, no.
That time is felt.
Oh, but yeah, back to Guilty Remnant and Arwen. Megan. Yeah, she kind of represents that whole sequence as like me just like not giving a shit because it's like she's like, oh, he's standing outside our house, he's stalking us. He's trying to get in our faces, and I'm like, cry me a fucking river.
Yeah.
Like,
Weak moves.
your moves are weak.
Yeah. Can we talk just real quick about Liv Tyler's performance in this? I don't know if I'm like judging her unfairly. I don't know. It just doesn't do a lot for me. I guess
Her performance comes across as very weak to me, but that also kind of like matches the character too.
Sure.
So maybe she's nailing it. I don't know.
that's fair, I guess.
And maybe it's just because I'm contrasting it with the worst performance in the show, which is Tom and Christine. That I'm like, she's fine. I don't know. I guess I don't feel strongly about it as you do, but like, yeah, it's.
I don't know what
It's definitely not wowing me or anything, but it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe I just never noticed bad acting because, like, whenever you guys have pointed it out in previous shows, I'm like, oh, sure. And I haven't, like, no acting in this show has stood out to me as, like, bad.
That's fair.
Maybe I just don't notice.
I think like it's such a it's so subjective too. Like I unfairly hated Amy Adams for a long time. Just I don't know. There's just
How are you doing on that?
Dude, Arrival really turned me around. And then I watched a clip of any of the DC movies she's in. I'm like, woof. But also, man, just listen to the dial. I don't know if anyone. I don't want to talk about the Snyder Cut on this podcast. Don't want to fucking do it. But I don't know if you guys have seen any clips from that movie. Jesus Christ, the dialogue.
Oh, the only clip I've seen is
so
the
bad.
like flashback to like. Apparently they fight Zeus. Like Zeus fights.
Do they really?
And I'm like,
I'm back on board. Actually,
Zack Snyder has had like good artistic direction. I felt like in the past, stuff in the DC universe. He just turns the contrast way the fuck up on the color, and everything's like got like this bloom effect from like the GameCube era of graphics, and it's disgusting. It makes me nauseous to look at.
Yeah.
He's usually on point with his visuals, but not here.
Anyways. Yeah, so that's it. I don't want to talk about Snyder Cut anymore, but fuck.
If Zack Snyder directed Leftovers,
release the Snyder Cut of The Sopranos. Anyways, okay. What else do we have to talk about before we get to the big-ish, I guess? We talked about the teens and their wild shenanigans. Let's talk about Garvey Sr.
we didn't talk about Tommy and Christine.
Oh, yeah, let's talk
previous
about them real
episodes.
quick, because they're totally separate from everything else, pretty much. What do you guys think about Tom and Christine? And Holy Wayne's just impregnation plan, I guess? And
He's got the nefarious cult leader thing where he makes you think that you're the special one, you're special, you're chosen, you are above. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the whole time I've also been like, same thing with the Guilty Remnant. I was like, Wayne is actually for real. Like, I mean, he is, because apparently he does have some sort of magical power.
yeah.
But like, I always thought like, oh, he knows something we actually don't know, and he's gonna be right at the end, like the whole thing, even if it's gonna be in a twisted way. But now I'm like, especially with like, and who knows, they still might do more with the Guilty Remnant too that will reveal more. But just with what we've seen in this episode with them, I'm like, maybe, and with I guess Wayne too, what we've seen, I'm like, maybe, yeah, Wayne's just a normal fucking cult leader who just happens to have magic powers instead of being like this predestined prophet dude.
Yeah.
The magic powers seem the contrast between his cult and the Guilty Remnant, like his is getting rid of your grief and your pain without fully processing it, right? Just bye. we're not doing this. And then the opposite end of the spectrum with the guilty remnant is living in it all the time on purpose. Like, that's just such an interesting dynamic to me, especially when the two aren't interacting at all. And I kind of hope that at some point those two worlds cross paths somehow.
Sure.
Yeah. And just like the idea of, I think I brought this up a while ago, of it's not like a corrupted Jesus, but like a, I don't know, just taking pain without, relieving pain without responsibility, or doing the steps to get there and the implications of that. Like, obviously I haven't worked out how I feel about it. It's just really an interesting idea to me.
I mean, that's kind of like, I mean, it's an oversimplification, but I mean, it could easily be a critique on like the idea of confession and in religion, and just like, oh, all I got to do is go in this booth and just, you know, spout my confessions, and then boom, guy takes my guilt, and yeah. And then we have the opening scene to every gritty TV show or movie that we want, of some guy who's like, I got a confession to make, Father. I've killed someone. A lot of people. Because I'm a mafia member.
And I'm gonna kill again. Who are you gonna kill? I'm so sorry. Kills the priest.
Wait, isn't that just the opening of Daredevil TV show?
Pretty sure, yeah. Oh, fuck. Man, the Catholics really fuck some people up who now are making pretty good TV.
Thank goodness for Catholic guilt? Question mark.
I mean, yeah, but it is. I think it is. I think that Holy Wayne is like one of my favorite. I think the way that he's portrayed is like one of my favorite ones, because we never really have him. We never have him like, we haven't had him as a perspective character so far. We only have like other people's interactions with him. So we don't know what he's like alone. Like, everything is through this lens where he's probably performing, or maybe he's not. I don't. It is just such an interesting thing, and to have like a character like Nora, who has had what seems to be a fairly genuine experience with him, and that has like changed a lot of her life at this point. Like, I don't know. It's super interesting and super conflicting, and he still feels so gross every time I see him. But like,
she still has her gun. I don't know. I'm convinced that it's just going to be like, yeah, he just gives people hugs, and the act of doing that just like help. Because is there any other physical contact in this show between people that's wholesome? Like, I guess there's a sex scene between Nora and Garvey that is like, they're genuine feelings between the two of them, but like, I don't know. It's like, this is like a positive, giving somebody a hug. I don't know.
If that's what it is, I'll be pissed, because it's not like no one's hugged anyone over this whole ordeal. Like,
yeah, but we're only seeing the ones who are really damaged and not dealing with it. The people who got good hugs are not on the show.
Oh. So these people have never been hugged, is your theory?
No good hugs.
yeah,
only bad
Tyler,
hugs.
you're not hearing. They've never had a good hug. Have you?
I don't know if I
Had a good
want
hug?
one. How it sounds.
I don't know. I agree. I hope it's not that. There's just a piece of me that's kind of like, maybe
I could definitely see that,
might
like,
be the case
with like some of the themes of the show. I could easily see it be like, and it was fake the whole time. Like, yeah, I don't know. This show has me a little concerned, because this man has worked with J.J. Abrams before. J.J. Abrams is up his own ass about his mystery box, and while I think it's a valid storytelling tool, I don't think it's the end-all answer to all your storytelling problems, right? Which sometimes J.J. Abrams does. And I'm worried that this show might go the same route, that we're just not going to get answers on fucking anything. And I'm like, I'll still appreciate the show for what it is, but I think that, like, for me, the way to make the mystery box work is you have the big mystery box, which is the obvious thing in this show. And then you like slowly answer the other things while digging into these characters and their reactions with each other and how they develop over time, because of the thing that's in the mystery box, I think is the way to go about it. You need to give your audience enough to go off of and reward them enough for certain questions and things. But if you keep asking like really surrealistic questions and then not even doing anything with them just to be like, it's a mystery box. I don't know. It feels kind of like a cop out to me, I guess.
Well, I would argue that this show instead treats the mystery box as the MacGuffin. Like this is maybe the thing that's going to pull you into the show, but first of all, it's not what the show is about, and the questions you're going to be asking 10 episodes in are vastly different from what you're asking at the beginning of the show, right? And I think that yeah, I mean, we'll talk next week when we finish the season, but there's still a lot of like answers to questions that maybe aren't at the front of your mind that you'll get that will make the question seem more important, if that makes sense.
I think
Okay.
It's really hard to say yes to that.
Yeah, well, and it's really hard to phrase that in a way that's like,
yeah.
but
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's what the show is right
yeah.
now, because obviously I've only seen less than a season. I hope, in my opinion, and obviously that's just an opinion, but like I feel like that is how you use the mystery box. And I think that, like you said, they're not going to answer that big question. I think that's fine. I think that's an interesting way to go. And I think like you got to limit yourself on how many boxes you're keeping a mystery, I guess. Otherwise, it feels like I didn't really know how to make people interested in this story, so I just threw in these random, kind of almost unrelated things to get people to listen to what I had to say, I guess.
Sure.
Which, I don't know. You could maybe argue is valid. I don't like it, but
yeah.
Semi-related, what are you guys' theories on the dogs? Like, do you have theories? Because today was the first time I was like, oh, maybe. And it's not like so much what's up with the dogs, but what the dogs are a metaphor for.
Sure. The dogs represent daughters.
There you go.
And
that's why Tommy showed up.
Garvey hates his daughter, so he's now killing all the dogs.
Right.
So he
Jill
doesn't have
bit
to
him.
kill his
Jill
daughter.
is a daughter. That's why she let the dog go. And
Suck it, Bob. Mystery box solved.
oh, there's gonna be a big interaction between Nora and the dogs because Nora hates daughters.
Fuck your dog. Yeah, that's true.
There was that, and there's one other mention of daughter. I can't remember where it was in one of these episodes. Someone else mentioned daughter, and her whole demeanor kind of changed a bit. I can't remember who it was. Why am I? It was not Garvey. It was someone else who brought up daughter, and it was just like a subtle thing that I was like, is that intentional? That she's just like the idea of like a younger female in the familial unit just pisses her right off. Like,
I mean, the baby is a daughter, right? The new baby, Jesus baby, 2.0.
Yeah, was the Jesus baby supposed to be a boy? Because that's the impression I got.
I thought he did say son.
Okay.
Like,
And the other girl, the other pregnant woman, was like, he's the bridge, meaning I thought she was talking about her baby, so it would make sense that, shoot, what's her name?
Christine?
Our pregnant lady.
Christine.
Yeah, Christine.
Not the pregnant lady. Our
She's
pregnant
our pregnant lady. It would have made sense that, what's-his-face told her the same thing.
Sure.
still holding out for Jesus 2.0 theory.
Aren't we all?
Just because it's a girl doesn't change that. Because, I mean, one of them had to be a girl. So Garvey and Nora's kids now got to be a boy or a girl, and they could just adopt Jesus 2.0. It's all about how you raise your kids. Have we learned nothing from Garvey?
I mean, wasn't Jesus 1.0 adopted?
In a weird way.
Halfway. I don't know. Anyways. Okay.
I always get the runaround on that question. I don't know.
That's fair. That usually happens on questions that don't have actual answers.
Was the dog that was in the back of the car early in the season, was that Nora's dog that the kids buried?
Oh, yeah, she had a dog.
No.
Nora had a daughter.
Well, but it wasn't because we met the lady whose dog it was. Because
That's
Garvey
right,
goes
okay.
to her
Oh,
house
yeah.
and is like, hey, your
That's right.
dog's in. She's like, it's not my fucking dog, you fucking cop.
Yeah.
What the hell's the problem?
Speaking
so
of fucking
pissed.
cops, what do you do when a cop busts into your place of employment and then breaks your phone? Do you call the police? What do you do?
You don't have a phone.
Exactly, Justin.
Telegraph the police.
Call the police. The police just broke my phone.
I mean, that's kind of the shitty thing, right? Like, when the police are doing the crimes,
Yeah, like, what do you do when the chief of police is banging on your store window, shouting about shirts?
especially in like a small town, the chief of police has like,
Some clout.
yeah, like no vulnerability whatsoever. You're fucked. Like,
And also, in this small town, we're looking at the chief of police as a dynasty at this point because it just got passed down from father to son, apparently. So, sure, yeah. Fuck it. Okay. Back to this episode. Let's talk chief of police and all his chiefing around. I'm trying to remember what first episode, anything that happens before.
that's
Oh,
where his
him
dad
chasing
breaks
his
out.
dad. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we have like him just kind of searching for his dad this entire time, which feels like for him feels like this very direct way to try to get his own shit under control that he is very clearly losing grasp on over this last little while. But yeah, I mean, his dad fucks up that one cop who's just trying to be a...
He always liked me.
Yeah, oh man. He looks gnarly too. Like,
Yeah.
that was... Speaking, there are two pieces of gnarly violence. Like, when I saw his face, I was like, fuck. And then anytime a fucking hand gets shot by a gun, like Tom's does in this episode, I don't know what it's about hands. I just feel like the hands just get blown up by guns, and it fucking makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. Anyways. So Garvey Sr., what are your thoughts on Garvey Sr.'s National Geographic expedition?
Why does he resort to beating the shit out of people when he doesn't get his way? And why did he burn down the library in the first place? Because that doesn't make any sense. If he's in his own ghosty cult, why did the ghosts make him burn down the library?
These are the answers we're never getting, Gwen.
It's hard because, well, ghosts can't hold fire, so they need to have someone else hold it for them, you know?
Were they just upset that the library 1.0 didn't have the right National Geographic?
Absolutely.
Why were they angry at the library?
Gwen, someone who reads so many books should know that
Fuck libraries.
yeah, sure. Leave it at that. No, when you're a ghost, right? The only thing keeping you tied to the mortal existence, or whatever this plane of existence is what's left about you, right? And if something's written about you in that library, ghosts can't use the Dewey Decimal System, okay? So they can't spend a lot of time looking. They're just like, just burn the whole fucking thing down so I can leave. They think it's a mystery box, but I got this shit in the bag.
What?
You know, ghosts are tied to like their thing that keeps them here.
They want to be released, and what is in? Okay, I see.
Yeah, and the books, there's like stuff written about them, either in news articles or books. We still don't know if like, obviously we don't know the identity of the ghosts, if they're ghosts, what they are. They could be aliens. Like, as much as we know about this show, they could be like anything. But we now also know that dog shooting guy talks to him.
Yeah, that's the thing I've felt like the disappearance of the people, obviously, like, we're drawn in with that idea to set up all of the drama and everything that we're going to experience, and that is a supernatural thing that has no explanation. But then, like, I feel like so many of the other things that happen in the show, it like straddles this line between like what actually takes place in the real world versus this like supernatural unexplainable thing, which is a really interesting way to look at stuff, because like the ghost, for example, like Garvey's dad, Garvey Sr., is psychotic, but we like, it feels like there's this resolution. It's like, yeah, he's just truly crazy and he's had a mental breakdown. He needs to be in a hospital. And then we get this small little teaser with the chewing tobacco buddy, who also has this thing. And it just like drops this little bit of legitimacy to what Garvey Sr. was saying about everything, that makes you be like, what else is going on here? Like, is there something going on, or is it just a matter of this guy has the same mental issues as well? Like, it's really interesting to kind of ride that line between like, this is what we know about real life, and then there's this other thing that's happening that is basically the same thing maybe, and we don't know what the answer is yet.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to be in that, like, that tension with how those things are presented and kind of teased along to us.
Yeah.
I mean, going along with like answers that are like where everything ends up, there is no supernatural element to this show or whatever. Like, maybe it's like something like, people disappearing created a new mental illness, like because something snapped their head, because nothing like that's ever happened before. I don't know. Like,
I mean, that's a phenomenon, isn't it? When, like, never mind. I'll think of an example while you keep talking.
yeah. Well, I mean, like, yeah. I don't. Is there one of like a single event causing multiple people to have the same type of
There's one that I'm
hallucinations?
thinking of where an entire town just like started dancing.
Yep.
What the?
Yep.
Yeah, it was like,
I don't know if it was in a whole town, but it was like I think if we're thinking of the same thing, it was like a girls' school somewhere in Africa, I believe.
oh, I was thinking it was Europe.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, there is a case of something. It was dancing where people danced for days until people were passing out and legitimately
Like,
physically
were they
sick.
conscious? Like, could they like hold a conversation like, why the fuck am I dancing? Or
Don't know. I don't know.
I think it was in medieval times. Like I've got the 1400s in my head as a date.
And was it supposedly due to like an event or something that like triggered it, or was it just like
It's just
I
a
think it was
shared.
just a shared experience?
Yeah, a shared
Yeah.
experience.
Okay.
So I mean, it doesn't quite fit what you were saying, but like I think there are things like that in the world, like shared delusion or whatever.
Yeah.
because it's weird that it manifests itself the same to
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a TV show, so they can do whatever they want with whatever mental illness they made up, I guess. But
Sure.
Well, I mean, like if you see someone acting erratically and you have a shared traumatic experience with them, and like you think, well, like maybe they're acting that way because it helps, or like maybe you start acting that way or pretending you can hear the voices and then you actually start hearing the voices or whatever.
Yeah. I think that it is super interesting too, like kind of going like what Justin was saying, like the idea where we have this character that we've kind of been unsure of like his actual existence, and finally he's just like, dude, you were fucked up. He's like telling him like, you're like freaking me out. It's like, oh man, yeah, Garvey's got some shit going on. And the reason I know is because that Spectre man who's hunting dogs told me. But yeah, I think that whole the section in we'll call it by their fucked up Cairo, New York. Okay,
Is that really how it's pronounced?
I don't know.
I call bullshit.
Listen, but here's
Although we
the
do
thing.
have hurricanes.
Like,
so.
yeah, we've got Hurricane, we've got fucking. I mean, we got a bunch of made up bullshit too. That like, who gives a fuck how you pronounce it? But like in New York, it's not Houston Street, it's Houston Street, and it's like, fuck off. We already did this. We went through this a long time. Like we decided.
I mean, I said New Orleans until I lived there.
Now you call it Nolans?
No, not quite.
Oh,
now it's New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like, that's how everyone says it. And
Yeah.
so it's like,
I mean, it was the same in Detroit. Like, there are a bunch of street names that's like, those consonants next to each other don't make that noise. But
I was like, all you guys are way, way behind. It's New Orleans.
way behind? Do you know something we don't?
Wait, fuck. Way out of line.
But yeah, that was like one of those things. I just like, yeah, fucking just take. But maybe that's like the most American thing to do too. Is like, yeah, we're gonna call our city Cairo too, but we ain't pronouncing it like you. It's Cairo here, motherfucker.
Oh man, you have my favorite American impression.
Woo! Anyways,
Accurate.
but yeah, let's talk about the whole like cabin in the woods fucking Patty's thing. First of all, I need to look up this actress's name because I keep forgetting, but I think Patty is like one of my favorite fucking actresses in this show. And I think also she has some of the funnest writing. And also for a character that for a lot of the time that we've seen her, honestly, to this point, she doesn't talk at all.
Yeah.
So good. I think like one of the things in this that like one of the most disturbing like kind of revelations she makes about the whole situation with Gladys, all of that, is she talks about Laurie and being like, hey, listen, Gladys was down for this to happen, and when it's Laurie's time, she will be too. Which is like, is that the end goal? Like, is that what they're doing, is basically in this army of people they can just fucking kill in, you know, ways that are going to spark notoriety or outrage or whatever? Like, man, what a long con and a slow burn and a really fucked up thing to do. Like, but yeah, that, I mean, her whole monologue, I mean, that whole scene, every scene she's in that fucking thing is so good. Her just ending that one scene with, now get me a fucking cigarette. I was like, yeah, seriously, get her a cigarette, man. She needs a cigarette.
About 10 minutes before her reveal, I was like, shit, Garvey killed whatever the fuck her name was.
Oh yeah.
Gladys. And, he's probably been killing a lot of people or something. But then she's like, nah, I did it. I'm not entirely ruling that out still, though. He could have been a part of it. But yeah, I don't know. It seems pretty clear, though, that it's probably just them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, man, it makes that scene with like that stoning scene, like when she's like saying stop, like that, like it makes that even worse. I feel like going back and watching that, because it's just, what a thing. But yeah,
Would Gladys may not have even known.
Like when it was, yeah, who knows?
She didn't know that it was her friends doing it to her,
Yeah.
possibly. Yeah.
Because it was done in silence. She was taken away while she was with one of her companions and tied to a tree with lights shining on her in the middle of the night. So,
and who knows what the fuck Patty's metric is for someone being all right with it? You know what I mean? Is that just they've showed this level of commitment so clearly? Like,
did she sign a
This is cool.
contract? Is there a level of initiation where you're like, oh yes, okay, I consent to die violently at some point, or is it? Yeah.
It's just implied that when we do finally have full access to your bank account and don't need you fully anymore, that is what happens. But yeah, fuck, man.
God.
Yeah, I don't know. What are you guys? Any thoughts on kind of the Patty? There's
is
a lot
odd
there.
that
but...
they're like slowly killing themselves smoking if they want to,
sure,
like die in a blaze of glory. Like,
yeah, I don't quite understand the smoking still, because okay, the white clothes, you're taking away the color, you don't talk, you don't have relationships, so you remember this big event. But I still don't quite understand the smoking.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just like the. Yeah, I don't know. That whole thing, I don't know if it's literally a symbolic thing, just the idea of this smoke that's constantly is gone. You see it and then it's gone. If that's like, I don't know. It's fucking weird. Yeah. Anyways.
It's interesting that Patty was so devoted, and like she's like the local cult leader, but obviously if she's trying to provoke the local police chief into killing her and then kills herself for her cause, like she was actually a true believer. Yeah. She wasn't just in it for the money or the power or whatever, which makes it more interesting.
Well, if you want to talk about the metrics of how much of a community can a death move, if you look at Gladys's death versus Patty's, which we presume is going to be a very private thing, a thing that was done literally for one person, it would seem. Like, does that signify that Garvey for some reason has become very important to them, or you know what I mean? Like, what do they think he's gonna? I don't know. There's a lot there, but
yeah, I mean, he does bring up like who are you taking orders from. She denies anyone giving them any orders, which I find hard to believe, and maybe she doesn't really know or fully understand who is kind of manipulating things. I'm wondering if there is someone who also is speaking with some other what we're calling ghosts right now. Like, I mean, with this show being who the creator is, and you saying that things are going to get weirder, I'm kind of bracing myself for like the what do they call it in Lost? Is it the vaults or what is that?
Oh, the hatch. I think is like the yeah.
Kind of waiting for like that opening of that kind of reveal, polar bear shit, and
Sure.
Well, I guess the polar bear shit didn't go anywhere, did it?
Nope, it didn't.
Yeah, so not polar.
There's the smoke monster. Did the smoke monster go anywhere? The smoke monster and Lost.
Oh, is the smoking?
Yeah, they're making it. Every cigarette smoked goes to one smoke monster on an island tormenting people in purgatory. So light up.
But yeah, I guess I'm kind of waiting for that moment, and part of me feels like that moment has to come with the guilty remnant, or the other cults. But to me, I feel like that one's already kind of on that. I don't know, on that track to. I don't know. But to me, it's the guilty remnant in my mind that has to be kind of that big thing. But I'll probably be wrong because the show likes to just tell me, fuck you, what you think.
So, what was up with the shirts? Was Garvey's alter ego going out in the woods and pinning up his shirts, or was it Patty fucking with him? Or option C, other?
Yeah.
I would think himself. Just because of how the rest of that scene is kind of illustrating that. And, I mean, it could have been Patty, I guess. But, like, everything else in that scene is telling us, the viewer, he has done a lot outside of his consciousness and what we've seen. More than just the missing past bit since he's been asleep. And
I was thinking that he wasn't missing enough time, but if he's gone every time his daughter's gone from the house, that could be that missing time is driving up to...
And that's why
Cairo.
Yeah, sure.
Is that why
I'll accept it.
And like probably also why the alarm that one time was like turned off when it was supposed to be on was probably him leaving. Which I'm still waiting for that. I feel like there's more to that. I don't know. I feel like we're gonna get an alarm thing being important like later, like not like a big supernatural thing or anything, just like someone's gonna be in the house type of thing. Like
Sure.
The deer's gonna be in the
But
house.
who's going to be in the home, you know? Because now Jill's fucking with the silent army of the damned here. That, which I'm like, sweet, it's a perfect place for her.
Shut the fuck up.
I don't have to hear any more of this shit.
Oh, poor Jill. She's traumatized.
But I do think that, for what Jess is saying, like, I have also had a little bit hard time, like, being super interested in that story, sure. I guess. And I think that's a smart choice for her character to make to really get me more interested, I guess.
Yeah.
So, like, unironically, I am excited that she is making that choice, and the dynamic with her mother being in it is awkward, and yeah. Oh, but Garvey, I want to ask you a question. What would you do in Garvey's situation? Like, you wake up and you've kidnapped somebody. This dude who now has, like, stake in the game, who's like, if we go if you let her go, I'm fucked, and doesn't want you to do that, who is a dangerous man. I don't know. What would you do?
Here's what you gotta do. You kill her, obviously. And then you bury the body under the carcasses of several dead dogs. So that way, you know what I mean? You gotta stack the graves. So that if at some point an investigation is launched... No, but I don't know. If it's me, I just cry and drive away. I don't know. Like, I'm not a smart man. I don't know. Too heavy for my fucking blood.
Yeah, I don't do well under pressure. I'd probably just sit down.
Yeah.
Step 1, sit down. Step 2, stay down.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, because, like, that whole time I was thinking, like, oh, good job on the writing here. Because, like, I don't know. I don't know what I would like to think I would do.
Yeah.
But, like you said, in the pressure of the situation and also being fucking crazy, you might not be thinking that through clearly. I felt like, I don't know, best option for him is, like, No, you just go turn yourself in and you live with your dad.
Yeah.
Like, just follow the rules a bit better and you won't have to go in the deep, dark cellar and you can stay
Yeah. Well, I'm like,
in the
I mean, honestly,
assisted living.
the real fucked up parts of me start to think, like, this person's life cannot be used as leverage. They do not value it. Like, they want it to end. At what point am I okay? Like, to cover my own ass, or you know what I mean? Like, that's I think the other layer of this scene that's just like, ugh, man, it's like she's doing all she can to take a choice away from you in a lot of ways. But he never gives that up. He never actually gives that up like he does, which I think is a really fascinating and interesting thing to see this character do at this point, is like, and I think like hints at this idea that he really is trying to be a good person. And man, he's fucked up a lot, but like there are these moments where he is really trying, and like in this case is willing to put a lot of stuff on the line to keep that part of him, whatever that is. So yeah, anyways, Justin, do you have any thoughts on that kind of last scene or anything?
I don't think so. Not really anything more. I guess I'll just say that, like, kind of what you're getting at. Like, I started the show not liking Garvey at all. I remember saying that he was a piece of shit, and he still very much is a lot of the time with his family situation. It's very fucked up. But I've definitely been won over and like am on his side with this, and like I'm cheering for the guy. Like the way that this ended, like I kind of saw what was coming and saw the trap that he was in, and there wasn't really any way out for him at that point. And like it's kind of heartbreaking because things. I mean, it's one of those. It's some way of dragging us along for the ride, because like things were starting to work out for him, and now he's in this situation. Like we go from, I think we go. Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we go from like him and Nora, and like no, I could be way off here, but I feel like there's just this jump in time that takes us from so much good things happening with him specifically, starting to piece things together, and then we jump to the cabin, and it's like, well, forget all of that because now we're here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is rough. He's a chief of police. Can he pin it on his buddy? Like he's already said like it's our word against theirs when they cleared out the guilty remnant when they came to the school or whatever, and they're like they were behind the actual school property line or whatever. But so I don't know.
My first thought when you said his buddy was the cop that already got beat up by Garvey.
Oh, yeah.
He's just like, oh man, I did that.
I would love to see the legal hoops to jump through to make that stick. Man. Something else for me too is like Patty mentions that she's dug into this other dude's past and he doesn't have any identification.
Kill him and get away. You're free.
Justin's got us worked out.
Although that other guy clearly physically had the upper hand when it came to a fight between him and Garvey. So I don't know. Is Garvey armed? Can he shoot him? I don't know.
He feels like the type of guy that doesn't have an identification because the government needed to do some bad shit in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how much you want to mess with that at some point, but
yeah, and I mean, wasn't that dude's truck registered in Garvey's name? Was it registered in his name, or was it just at his house?
It didn't have any registration at one point because the guy, like, I don't think it had a registered owner or anything. And the guy was like, yeah, you can just keep it or whatever. And so Garvey picked it up. So presumably Garvey has it now under his name, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Pretty sure he's real at this point. Just that he's dodging his taxes really well.
Yeah. The whole dialogue interaction between him and Patty was really interesting about like, I prefer to think of myself as a guardian angel, which I thought like, I don't know. I'm curious to know how deep that's going, especially with the little tease that we got of him talking to his ghosts or whatever, like where this is all going. That guy is very interesting right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do hope we get like answer to at least Garvey's importance, like, because it seems like everyone who's hearing voices is entangled with him, and yeah, I just hope we get something there. It does. I've said that before. These things I want answers to. I don't need like everything spilled out.
Yeah.
I just need enough to chew on, I guess. And if it's completely open ended, I don't have anything, I guess.
Yeah.
But oh shoot, there's one. Oh, maybe I'm late to the party on this one. Nora and how she might not actually have been cured by Wayne. I guess if you can think about it this way, because I guess this may have started before all that though, actually, but she always is trying to relive that pain, right? And is kind of masochistic, and so that explains why it's like, oh yeah, I cheated on my wife too, and she's like, another chance to feel more pain, and like her attraction to him could just be, kind of almost him using him in a way to, I don't know, maybe it's subconscious with her, I don't know, but just to set herself up for more pain, I don't know, and she's going great for her as of current events of this last episode. So
Shared family trait with Preacher Matt.
Oh yeah,
That's a good point.
Yeah, and both have come from like, and we know like what happened to their parents and like burning in their home and stuff like that. They're no strangers to pain for sure.
God damn.
There's also cool things in the show like that I didn't think about that before, and now I'm like,
Cool. Any kind of closing thoughts on this? I feel like we've covered kind of the big stuff. Not sure if you guys have any other things. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be finishing season 1 next week, so we'll watch episodes 9 and 10. And just a little tease, the next episode is titled The Garveys at Their Best.
shit.
Who knows if that's ironic or not? I guess we'll see.
I could take a swing.
But yeah, we'll watch those for next week. If you want to reach out to talk about leftovers or whatever, just email us at rewatchersonthepod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at rewatcherspod, and we will be back right after this music with some other recommendations. Welcome to the recommendation section of the podcast, where we talk about other stuff that we're reading, playing, watching, all that shit. Gwen, what brief recommendations do you have for us this week?
Very brief. I did Beat Saber. Our washer is broken, so I was doing laundry at my parents' house. Yes, everything at our house is broken. It's great. And my brother put Beat Saber on my face, and I played it until the battery died, and it was fun, and it fooled my watch into thinking I got all my steps in.
Hell yeah.
The end.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. For those that don't know, Beat Saber is a fucking VR lightsaber game where you beat notes up.
Sorry. I'm real good at podcasting.
No, you're great. I mean, I feel like most people know at this point. Most people have accidentally seen a Beat Saber video.
Yeah.
They may have just not made the connection. But yeah, cool. Justin, what'd you have for us?
So Saturday morning, Christmas came early. I don't know. For me, I purchased a Korg MS-20 Mini, which is an
dog
analog synthesizer.
God, no.
And I love it. And it's awesome. I don't know how to, I'm going to recommend it, but I don't know, who that applies to. If you like cool electronic stuff, if you like music, if you like making music, if you like fiddling with knobs and playing a keyboard, this thing is super fun. I got that. I also got a Rocktron Banshee talk box. So I have just been in my basement for a few hours the last day and 30 minutes today, making myself sound like a robot, and it's super fun. So
Sounds amazing.
I've got plans for
Sounds like a podcast.
A new
episode.
member of our podcast.
I mean, we could
guest.
do that. That would be a lot of fun.
That reminds me, I purchased a robot who will be replacing Justin.
Okay.
just well, it's you. It's you.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if those dots got connected. Yeah. No, you are the robot. It's just.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like dipping my toes into the synth world, which has been something I've been interested in for quite a while. It's like I really like making electronic music. I mean, hence the music for this podcast. But so yeah, I've got some plans with some stuff that I want to do in the future. My brother wanted me to do some music for his YouTube channel, which I might actually use the TalkBox for.
Cool.
It's like a really strong seasoning and a really good rub for ribs. You got to use it sparingly. So
Sure.
not a full album of TalkBox, but little Peter Frampton every once in a while. Yeah, it'll be good.
Cool.
So yeah,
Cool.
check it out. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds
Buy
fun.
one. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, good times.
Cool. Tyler, what did you have to recommend for us?
I will have an anti-recommendation.
Oh fuck yeah.
I don't know. This is actually kind of a two-sided thing, I guess. I needed something to play that was appropriate to play around my son, who's 3, but also was going to be engaging enough, but also not too engaging that I could just kind of mentally cruise through it. So I made the mistake of buying Immortals: Phoenix Rising.
Oh no.
And which is a direct ripoff of Breath of the Wild.
I have
by
almost
Ubisoft.
bought this several times, and the only thing that turned me off was watching 12 seconds of the trailer.
And man, it's not great. It definitely is just like Ubisoft is like, we just make Breath of the Wild clone, and all the voice actors now are not Greek, and they're trying to do a Greek accent. A lot of them come off as like a Eastern European.
Oh, no.
Like the guy who does the voice of the main guy in the new Deus Ex games is I can't remember that god's name now. It's not Helios. I don't remember.
The face.
Anyway, the one who's chained to the rock. Anyway,
It's his liver eaten every day. That guy. Is that the one?
Yes, I think so. Yes, and he. Yeah, that's it. That's the guy from Deus Ex, but he's like doing like this Greek accent that is like. So yeah, that's. Anyway, however, it kind of worked. Like it was something I could just not pay attention to and go through. So if you need something like that, Immortals: Phoenix Rising, I guess. But then as I was playing it, I was like, you know what? I gave Breath of the Wild another shot. So I haven't played it in a long time. I turned it on again, and now that I have gone through the initial playthrough and come to terms with the things I very much dislike about that game, I am having a much better time playing it this time because I think that like that's all worn off now, and I can enjoy the things about the game that I really do like. So, yeah, I'm replaying Breath of the Wild. I don't know. I want to beat it before 2 comes out, which means I probably got a shit ton of time. So
Yeah.
I don't know how like quickly I will be going through it, but yeah. And there's one other thing I had. Maybe I don't remember. That's all I really did. I mean, I've been playing Breath of the Wild, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess I've got a couple things. On the side of like shadier video game recommendations, I also picked up a video game this week that it was cheap enough that I don't really regret it, but I definitely wouldn't have spent more. I got Watch Dogs Legion on my PS5.
Dude, Ubisoft is just shit, man.
It's not great. But here's the thing. I will go to bat for Watch Dogs 2. I think is a really fun video game. As far as the way that it captures like this like the Bay Area and stuff, which I'm not super familiar with, but I've been to, and like stuff like that. And the way the characters are written is like some of the best writing Ubisoft has had in I don't even fucking know how long. Maybe since Far Cry 3? I don't know. So I decided to pick up Watch Dogs Legion, which basically the elevator pitch for Watch Dogs 3 is, what if you could play as literally anyone in the world? And so you basically start that game by picking just a character from like a list of 45 people. So I picked a 52-year-old Indian immigrant named oh man, I can't remember her name, but her stat attribute, like the thing that like differentiates her from other characters, is that she has more health because she's a quote tough drunk. And I'll tell you what, it's actually pretty fucking fun to wander around an open world as a 50-year-old Indian woman beating the shit out of police. Like it's pretty cool. And they like they kind of have this system where you're recruiting all these other agents, and you basically just get this long list of people you can kind of switch between at random. They all have different stat boosts. And I'm having a pretty fucking good time with it. Like it's set in London, which I'm not really familiar with at all. But it's got a cool tone. Like it feels like the location is unique to this game, and like it feels different than like, the Far Cry games at this point have, despite their different like ecologies, have felt, the world design in that has felt pretty like similar, and you're just checking boxes off a map anyways, which is fun sometimes. But yeah, I would say if you can get that game on sale for like $20, check it out. There's some real goofy bullshit, and it's pretty fun. The other thing I'm going to recommend, I recently started watching Curb Your Enthusiasm again, which I tried to watch years ago and just really bounced off of for some reason. I don't know if it's because I don't really like Seinfeld that much, and that show is essentially new Seinfeld. But I just kind of threw it on the background on a whim just to kind of touch base with it again. And I'm now 3 seasons in, and I actually really love it. The first season, I think, and I feel like that's just the thing that everyone says about every show at this point, is like, well, first season's rough, but you got to get through that. And it's like, here's the thing. The first season's kind of rough. You don't fucking need to watch it. Just skip to season 2 or season 3, or just watch an episode with John Hamm in it. I don't know. Just it's a show that you can do that with. But also there are like, there is like this cascading like joke domino that starts in episode 1, and you get this bigger payoff the longer you go. But anyways, Curb Your Enthusiasm on HBO. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it so far. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I have to recommend this week. So we will be back next week to cover the last 2 episodes of season 1 of The Leftovers. And yeah, you've been here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Gwen Hammer.
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
bye.